Hi everyone, Jeffy here, and welcome back to Around the World in Many Days. Today's episode is number 29 and it's titled Tropical Rhythms. We are back with another cryptic crossword after some different types of puzzles these last couple of times. Let's look at what we have. So, reading the preamble here. This is a diagramless crossword. The clues are not numbered according to their placement in the grid. Rather, they are listed so that their answers are in alphabetical order. You must solve the clues and place all answers in the grid using bolded lines to separate words where necessary. Every cell must be used and grid lines must be rotationally symmetrical. For example, if there is a line separating cells 1 to 2 on row 1, there must be a line separating cells 10 to 11 on row 9. Let's stop there and look at what that means. We have a grid, but we don't have any grid lines or numbers or anything else in there. So how does this work? We're going to have to find a way to determine where the answers go in the grid. But what the symmetry requirement means, if I look at the editable grid here, what the symmetry requirement means is, first of all, we have a central cell here, which is this one. This is 9 by 11, so there is a central cell. And what that means is if we have a line separating these, which is 1 to 2 on row 1, then what that means is we have to have a symmetrical line. If we turn this upside down, this line would fall here. So in order for it to be rotationally symmetrical, both of these have to be there or neither. But we can't have just one and not the other. And same is true of every line we put here. If we put a line here, rotational symmetry means we have to put one here. So the same distance in the same direction from the center, or in the opposite direction, I should say. So that's the symmetry requirement. Now, what that also means is if we have a word here, let's say we have a word here, 5-letter word. So obviously none of these are going to be lines, and this is going to be a line then. Well, what that then means is we are going to have another word symmetrically on the other side. 5-letter word with a line here and no lines between these. So the answers also, because the grid lines have to be rotationally symmetrical, the answers are also going to be put in symmetrically. So that's the symmetry requirement. Let's read the rest of the preamble and then try to figure out what to do here. So whenever one or more letters from the start of the clue form a substring of the answer, those letters must be highlighted in the grid. For example, if the clue starts on Tuesday and the answer is montage, highlight the letters O and T of the answer in the grid. Or if the clue starts without and the answer is shower, highlight the letter W of the answer in the grid. If multiple substrings are possible, highlight the longest one. Basically just meaning that once we have a finished grid, we can start coloring in certain parts of the answers. But we can fill the grid first and then look at that. And then where we are. Today I have enjoyed the tropical rhythms and landscapes of a large agricultural area surrounded by mountains on all sides. I have visited traditional tobacco plantations and seen massive stalagmites and stalactites that have developed over millennia in the caverns here. Can you guess where I am? Love, Gladys. Okay, so we are going to be looking for a tropical sort of agricultural destination which has caverns. Okay, and then we have, of course, a bunch of cryptic clues. Now, what you might think we need to do, and which is what I would probably do if I was solving this, was solve every clue cold, no help from the grid because we don't know where they go. And once we have all the answers, then we can try to fit in, try to see where they go in the grid. And that is completely valid. That is a sort of the normal way of solving a diagramless crossword, or at least solving as many as you can and then seeing what kind of restrictions you have based on the ones you have and trying to put everything you have somehow in the grid. That said, we already have some information about how the grid is going to look like. Not a lot, but we do have some information. Even without solving a single clue, we can do something in the grid. So I have the answers here so that we can sort of write in the answers. So first of all, we have 16 across answers, and we have 11 down answers. I'm going to close this and open the editable grid again. So what's that going to tell us? Well, remember, this is both of these lengths are an odd number, 9 and 11. That means that we have, once again, we have a central cell here. Now, a central cell is interesting in a diagramless crossword because it has to be part of one word, either in this direction or in this direction or both. And we can sort of tell immediately without solving any of these clues, we can already tell in which direction this clue is going to go. The clue that goes through the central cell. So remember, we said that every answer, if we put an answer here, we're going to have a symmetrical answer here. So these are going to be in pairs. If we have answers in pairs, well, that should give us an even number of clues, right? And that's what we have in the acrosses. Now, if we had an across here, that would be unpaired. That would not have a corresponding symmetrical answer, and then the number of across answers would then be an odd number. All the pairs plus 1, which means that we are not going to have an across clue that goes through this cell. We can't have without having an odd number of acrosses. So what that means, we can immediately draw 2 lines in the grid, here and here, because we cannot go through this cell in the with an across clue. Now we do have an odd number of down clues, so we do know a down clue goes through here. Obviously, we couldn't draw these anyway because then we would leave one cell stranded, and that's not how crosswords work. But if there were 12 downs, that's what we would have to do, and the puzzle would just be broken then. Luckily, it isn't. So we are going to have one answer going through this cell, and that's a down answer. Now, like I said, that's not a lot, but that's something we know about the grid. There's another thing we know about the grid, even without solving a single thing. We know how long this down answer is. And how we know that is, remember, if we have a clue of size 4, that has to be paired with another clue of size 4 in the symmetrical position. So what that means is clues of size 4, if we omit this one, are going to have an even number. There are going to be an even number of them. So let's see. Size 4s are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can actually stop counting because size 4 doesn't work anyway. And there's another reason for that. If we put a size 4 there, now what happens? When we try to draw the edges, well, that's going to be an edge, that's going to be an edge. Well, symmetrically, that edge has to have a partner here, and that edge has to have a partner here, and oops, we made a size 3 answer here. So whatever goes through this central cell cannot be an even length answer. So we don't even have to count the size 4s here at all. We know it's going to be size 3, size 5, size 7, or size 9. One of those options. So let's count size 5s then. 1 and 2. We have 2 size 5s. And we have 1, 2, and 3 size 9s. Since size 9s are an odd number, we know that one of them goes all the way there. That has to be one of the answers of size 9. Okay, I'm going to leave this highlighting there because just to remind us that that is going to be one of the answers of size 9. Okay, then we should look at yeah, we can look at actually acrosses. So we're going to have a couple of acrosses that are very restricted, which are these size 11s, because this is an 11 by 9 grid. So size 11s are going to span the entire grid horizontally. So that's going to be this number 15 here, and this number 3. So I think those long ones are going to be the most restricted ones to get in the grid. So maybe we should solve those first. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with this 3 across, which is 11 letters long. Now that's not the sort of maybe the normal order, but I think that's the most useful one to do if you want to put words in the grid as early as possible. So let's see. So 3 across. Players of baseball gathered around by agreement in Puerto Rico to be ones providing childcare. Now that's a bit of a long clue. There are some potential indicators here. Gathered around, something gathered around another thing, something surrounding another thing. By can be just next to the other thing. Can be an indicator for that, although next to this indicator it's probably less likely. By can also be the letter X from like the multiplication symbol. Agreement in Puerto Rico. Now Puerto Rico is Spanish speaking, so if you agree with someone in Spanish you would say sí. So this could be sí. And to be can be a wordplay to definition connector. So you do wordplay like this, and that is the definition, or it could be the other way around. Definition and then the wordplay would be here. But it can also be a part of the definition. I mean, it could be to be ones providing childcare. But the definition is going to be ones providing childcare. So we need a plural word, someone who takes after children, and it contains C, and it contains this by here, just by, by, without any modification. So it's going to have by and C, and that is going to be inside something that's gathered around it. Now, players of baseball, one type of baseball player is the batter. And if we put batters around by and C, we get babysitters who are ones providing childcare. And now what I'm going to do is once I've solved a clue, I'm going to remove the clue and just leave the answer there, because we're going to have to keep track of answers that we've solved but haven't put in the grid yet. So removing that. And then once we put it in the grid, I can just remove this row entirely, just to keep track of what are the words that we are left with that we still have to put in the grid. Now, babysitters we can't fit anyway yet. There are 8 options. Obviously, we can't put it in the central row, but 8 options for the word babysitters. Let's look at the other across clue, which is 11 letters long, and then we can look at the acrosses, which acrosses, the down clues, and look at what down clues might fit where. So one thing to remember, by the way, is there are going to be 3 grid spanners in the vertical direction. Now they could be something like this. They're going to be horizontal. They're going to be symmetrical, so something like this. And there are going to be two answers in the acrosses symmetrically again, that are going to be spanning the entire grid. So that means there are going to be these letters that have to collide. They have to cross, and that is going to be how we limit our options here. let's leave these out. We know this is a word. So let's look at, what's the other one? 15. And remember, these are all also going to be in alphabetical order. So these are going to start with B or A, and these are going to start with something after babysitters. So alphabetically after babysitters. So this is going to be around the end of the alphabet. So Vincent appearing in pro performance after one in France that's very demanding. Now, interestingly, one in France is also can clue like a word in another language, just like we had with C, which is yes in Spanish. We can have one in France, which is or un, un or une. So that could be what this one in France is doing. So Vincent, a word for Vincent, appearing in, we put it inside pro performance. Now, so put Vincent, a word for Vincent, inside pro and performance, and all of that is after a word for one in France, and that's the connector here, and the answer is answer means very demanding. Now one in France is here, un, and then after it we put Vincent. Now a common nickname for people named Vincent would be Vin, and that is inside something. Now pro doesn't mean professional here. Pro means another thing. If you are pro, you are for something instead of being against. So for, and then a performance is a gig. If you do a gig, you do a performance. So if you put Vin inside for gig, after we get unforgiving. And if something is unforgiving, it's very demanding. So that's how 15 across works. Unforgiving is the answer. That is 11 letters, and we can remove all of this. Then we now have unforgiving and babysitters, which we are going to be fitting somewhere here. Now let's look at we can tell something else about these two words, unforgiving and babysitters. Wherever they go in the grid, this one is going to clash with exactly one letter from those. It's going to be the central letter. So the central letter of unforgiving is this G here. And the central letter of babysitters is this I here. So I and G are going to be in symmetrical positions in the central down answer. And that should limit our options for the down answer, what the down answer can be. And we have three options. So let's solve these three options and see if we can put G and I in symmetrical positions there. Here's the first one. A leading Italian to make fun of cheap supermarket south of Georgia. Now Georgia is a US state, and US states all have abbreviations, two-letter abbreviations. Georgia is GA. South of, this is a down clue, so south of can mean below, as in on a map, so after something. So GA would be at the start. So if this is GA, then the definition would be a leading Italian. And now if you can come up with an Italian leader whose name starts with GA, you already have the answer. And the rest of us will have to figure out what to do with to make fun of cheap supermarket. Now, if you make fun of someone, you rib them, and Aldi is a cheap supermarket, German retailer, and you put that after Georgia GA, we get Garibaldi. And Garibaldi was an Italian leader. So Garibaldi is the answer here. And we can remove these. Now, Garibaldi does have G and I, and they are symmetrical, so we could have Garibaldi here. That is one option. Is it the only option? We'll see. We have two more down clues of size 9 to look at. Here's one. You're confused after reworking a topic in visual fashion. Now, this should be relatively straightforward. We have the ubiquitous confused, which is always anagram, either the previous or the following part, and then a reworking of something means basically the same thing. Rework the letters of topic. And since y'all is confused after, so we anagram topic and then we anagram y'all. If we do that, we get not topic, optic, which is an anagram of topic, and we get alley, which is y'all anagrammed. Put those together, we get optically, which means in a visual fashion. Pretty straightforward, I think. And we see optically doesn't have a G, so it's not going to be this word here, because it can't clash with this G of the unforgiving wherever it goes. And now we have one more down clue of size 9. Let's see. Member of orchestra, just a bit injured, isn't disfigured after violence stops halfway. Something stops halfway. If it's a word of even letter count, you can just take the first half of the word. So violence is 8 letters. So violence stopping halfway would be just taking just the first half of the word violence, VIOL. And we have something after that. So we put that in the first position here. And then if this is part of the wordplay, then we're looking for a name of a term for a member of orchestra. Now, there are a couple of those starting with VIOL. One 9-letter one is violinist. Now, how does that work? Just a bit injured is going to be I. I'm going to have to actually underline this. I. The just a bit from the word injured, just the first letter. And then isn't disfigured. We disfigure, we anagram, we mix up this word isn't, and we get nist. And violinist is a member of an orchestra. And we also see that violinist also doesn't have a G, so it can't go in the middle because it would need to cross with the word unforgiving at the G. So in fact, the only option for this word is Garibaldi, and we can write that in. Actually, I'm going to use blue here. I think it's clearer than this green, which is the default from this pen. Garibaldi is the answer, and I'm going to. Is this better? Maybe just use black for these lines. So Garibaldi is going to be our answer here, and we can now remove this highlighting. We know that that's a word now. And we can put some more words in the grid, because now we know Garibaldi has to clash with those both of those grid spanning answers, which is unforgiving. That only goes here. And if that goes there, then even though this what was the other one, babysitters, could go there, it has to be symmetrical with Garibaldi, so it can't go there, it has to go there. And we can put those in. So unforgiving, and here we have babysitters. Okay, remove the highlighting again. And also we now know that these remaining down answers of size 9 have to share letters with these across answers. So we have Garibaldi we used. I'm going to remove that now. We have that in the grid. I'm going to remove unforgiving. I'm going to remove babysitters. And now we have to put in optically. Now that has to have y on the bottom row. There's only one y here. So that has to go here. And symmetrically, we have to have violinist here, but we will have to have violinist there anyway because there's no other V in the top row here. So that's a lot of letters in the grid already after only solving 5 clues, which is unusual for these diagramless grids or puzzles. But I do like putting it in that way. That way, at least we have some help from the grid, at least potentially. Let's see how we proceed from here. Now, the most useful words for us are going to be long words. Like if we solve a 3-letter word, I don't think we have 3-letter words anyway, but if we solve a 3-letter word, obviously it can go anywhere here across this. And even long down answers can go anywhere here, right? But if we have an across that's 5 or 6 letters, obviously it's going to share some of these because the longest across that we can have, which doesn't share any of these letters, is going to be 3 letters. So let's try, and in fact, a word of 6 letters would need to share at least 2. So 6 would be useful, and I think we have 6s here. We have 1 and 2 6s. So let's do these acrosses of size 6 first. They should be relatively restricted in where we can put them in the grid, especially if we remember that we have to put them both in symmetrical positions. So let's see. I mean, even if one would fit in both of these, obviously it can't be, but even if we found a place where 2 places where one could go, then we would have to have a symmetrical counterpart for the other word of size 2. So this should be pretty limited in where they go. Let's see. Number 4. Leaving out final part of payment. 2 guys on an excellent adventure to get sent an invoice. Now, the excellent adventure part is a reference to a film, or I think it's multiple films. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So 2 guys. The 2 guys there would be Bill and Ted. And if we leave out something, we remove something. And final part of payment, the final letter of the word payment would be T. If we leave this out, this T, we're left with build. And to get sent an invoice. No, that's actually not it. To get sent an invoice would be, could define something, but actually to get is just the connector. You do this wordplay to get an answer, and the answer means sent an invoice. So someone sent an invoice, someone billed the other person. So that's the definition, and the answer is billed. Now, should we look immediately where we can put it in the grid? I think we can. So 6 letters, and this is 11 letters total. So this is going to be sharing one of the letters in the central column here. So not going to be this A, not going to be this R. It could be this I from build, B-I-L-L-E-D. That's one option. This one. Not going to be this A because we don't have an A in the word there. Can't be this L, even though we have 2 L's, but we would have to put BI before the L, and we can't because this is in the way. It can't be built with 3 L's, so this doesn't work. Now this D does work. B-I-L-L-E-D would work. So let's mark those. We have 2 options for the word build. One is here, and one is here. So those are our options. We can't put build in the grid anyway, but we have very few options, and the remaining word should limit our options even further. So if we look at where the symmetrical counterpart would be, it would be either a word ending in a something a, or it would be a word starting with a and containing an I there on the third position. And we can actually, funnily enough, we can actually know already, without solving it, we can already know which one it is. Do you see it? I just saw it. I don't think I thought that far before. Just came up with the fact that this starts with an A, and here we have this other clue of size 6, knowing that these are in alphabetical order. Well, this can't start with an A because it's after build. So this is not possible, which means this is not possible. So now we know where build goes, and we know what this clue also where this clue goes as well without solving it. So we already sort of have crossing letters in the grid. Did I put that in wrong? No, this doesn't go all the way there. So it actually should go like this. Sorry about that. So it doesn't end in A. A is the second last letter. So this is symmetrical with this now because there's an empty there. So let's put in some grid lines first. So this has to be a line. This has to be aligned symmetrically. This has to be aligned, and this has to be aligned. So we can also put in build now. And now, for the first time, we have two crossing letters for an answer before solving it. So let's see. So this is 6 letters with 2 A's in the grid. Babushka may be taken aback, having been interrupted by a noisy brawl. Something interrupted by something. So if this A interrupts something, you put A inside the other thing. Now, what is a babushka? Can be we have it in 2 different clues here. That's kind of a headscarf, Russian headscarf, or it can be the term for either someone's grandmother or just a word for an older woman in general. That's from Russian, babushka. So it's going to be one of those things. And here it's going to be the scarf thing. So babushka maybe. So babushka is an example of a scarf that's taken aback. So it's written backwards and it's interrupted by this A here. If we write scarf backwards, interrupted by this A, we get fracas. And that means noisy brawl. So this A is part of the wordplay. That was this A here, scarf backwards, and noisy brawl, or a noisy brawl is a fracas. So we don't have to write that in because we already found out the placement. All right. Then what? Then remove these. Now, what about size 5s? That's the next most restricted one. I'm not looking at the down clues, and the reason I'm not looking at the down clues yet is even long down clues still can go here, and we don't know anything about the placement really. So the crosses are currently the most restricted ones. So let's look at these size 5s now. And the first one is, we can remove build, we put it in the grid already. Let's look at this one. So we have size 5, 2, 3, 4 size 5s. And they also go horizontally into the grid. So, County Tyrone councillors at last appearing before Congress. County Tyrone is in Ireland, but that is irrelevant because these are not a unit. We're going to be looking for the name of a county. And yeah, we are going to be looking for the name of a county. I'm thinking whether I should be putting the answers back in here, because now we kind of lost information when we removed, for example, this number three babysitters, because that having that here gives us information about the alphabetical order. So maybe we should have left that in. And number 4 was built, wasn't it? I'm gonna put them in. How do I do it? Brackets aren't useful either. I'm just trying to somehow show that we've already used these words. I can't really mark them gray or anything like that. Maybe we just remember it. I think it's, I do not know how this notepad works. It somehow messes up the formatting here. Yeah, but so I put these back so that we know that this answer, which is going to be the name of a county, is going to be after the word build in alphabetical order, but it's not going to be a lot behind the word build. It's not going to be starting with a Z, because then these all would be starting with a Z. So let's try to figure it out. At last, take the last letter or letters of something appearing before. So the last bits of Tyrone councillors would be this E and this S. Tyrone councillors at last. ES appearing before a word for Congress. Now, not the Congress as in politics, but Congress is another word for sex. So E plus S appearing before sex would be Essex, and that is the name of a county in England. So we have Essex here, and we can look at where Essex might go in the grid. I'm going to remove this. And we can look at where it goes. So on the first row, we have to share at least one letter. That's the minimum. But none of these P, A, and I don't appear in Essex. So it can't be one of these. It can't be T, R, or O. It can't be this I. Can't be this C. Can't be these L's. And it can't be this I. So in fact, this S is the only letter that can be shared from these down answers with this SX. So only one place to put it, and it's there, which means that's going to be an answer as well. So add some grid lines there and not there, there, and then type in SX. Okay. Now then, that was, I should type in this number 6, which was fracas as well. Can't remove this space there for some reason. I am not good with this notepad. Okay, but here we have a crossing letter, but unfortunately we still have 3 options for the other size 5. So let's try this next one. Gradually passes through spot in front of PlayStation. Now PlayStation is often abbreviated just PS, and we have a P here. Something in front of PS does look good here. Spot, you spot something, you see it. So spot C in front of PS would be seeps. And if something seeps, it gradually passes through something. So seeps is going to be the answer here. And it looks like it fits there, and it does. But is that the only place where it fits? Remember, we can't put it in unless we're sure that that's actually the place where it goes. So let's see. So seeps must must share one letter from this optically or this violinist. So let's see, can't be this I, can't be this O, neither of those are in SEEPs, can't be this I or this I, can't be this T, can't be this C, this L or this L. So the P is the only letter that it can share, so it must be here. So SEEPs was the answer there. And we can remove these highlightings. And we have two more of these size 5 answers to fill. So let's see. So this is number 12 now. Done in several locations along islands' northern sides. This is going to be, the sides is going to be the indicator here. Now side, obviously a word in the sort of the world of across clues, it has two sides. A word has two sides, the starting letter or the end letter. Now the end letters of these words don't spell anything, but the starting letters do. S, L, A, I, N. Slain. And if you're done in, you're slain. So that is the answer. That is in fact after SEEPs in alphabetical order. And let's look at where it can go. So again, 5 letters. It has to share one letter from either violinist or optically. Can't go there, because there's no T in slain. There's no C in slain. There is an S, L, but that's in the wrong position. It could go there, sharing this I here. Slain could fit there. It can't share this I because it would be like this and go across the clash with these borders. Can't use this I because it would be from here. No, and this A would be in the wrong place anyway. So this I is the only letter from this violinist and optically that a slain can use. And so we must put it there. And if we put a word here, what that means is we are putting a word. Now let's not mess this up. I think it's here to here. Does that look good? 2 empties here, and then this square of 2 by 2 here. Okay, yeah, that looks right. So these are going to be our remaining answers of size 5. So that's going to be slain. And this is going to be the last one. But we can fill in the edges as well. So this and this, we have to put the word, separate these from the other words. And also we don't have any answers of size 2 in the acrosses, so we can separate these cells as well. Now then, what's this word going to be? Now it's going to be this one here, and it's going to be in alphabetical order, it's going to be after slain. So not many options for this first letter, for example. Can still be S, because ST is after slain in alphabetical order, but nothing starts with TT or VT or something like that, so not a lot of options. U could work. Let's see. Castor and Pollux maybe includes a prominent role by someone, and actually we removed the 15. 15 was this unforgiving, wasn't it? So we have to have a word between slain and unforgiving in alphabetical order. So what's it going to be? Castor and Pollux were twins in the is it Greek mythology or Roman mythology, or both? But they're also the names of stars, and stars fits here. So Castor and Pollux would be examples of stars. That's why maybe is here, because stars can be any other stars, but Castor and Pollux are one possibility. And this is a double definition clue. So the other definition is includes a prominent role by. So if a film stars Harrison Ford, it includes a prominent role by Harrison Ford. So that's the other definition, as stars as a verb. Okay, and let's just type the stars in. All right, now then, do we have enough of these crosses that we can look at down clues, or should we look at these crosses of size 4? These are still problematic because basically any down clue could still fit here. I think we're going to look at these crosses of size 4 now. And obviously we don't know which of these letters are going to be crossing, like this A here. We don't have to have uh, a cross clue that starts with A and has I here, because this could be a grid line, and this A would not be crossing with any across clues. But let's start from, should we start from number 1 here? So we're going to be looking for an answer starting with A or B now, something before babysitters in alphabetical order. So assistant gets real dull. An assistant is aid. It's often AIDE, but it can be AID. And if that gets R is real numbers are indicated by R in mathematics, so R can be real. And if AID gets R, it's arid. And if something is arid, it's dull. One meaning of arid. Literally, it means like dry, but if something is arid, it can mean dull, like uninteresting in that sense. So arid is, now it looks like the word that I was just mentioning, A and I fit there. But can it be anything else? Let's see. Can't share this O here. And again, it must share one letter from either optically or violinist, because there's only 3 letters on this side and only 3 letters in the middle, and only 3 letters on this side. And we need 4 letters. So optically and violinist are going to be very restrictive for 4-letter words as well. So arid again could go here. Can't share this O, can't share this I, because it would be A would be here, and can't go anywhere else here. What about on this side? It can't be here because that ends in I. Can't share this C, there's no C in arid. Can't share this L or this L. So arid, the only possibility is here. I'm going to first mark some. So arid would be here, and then the symmetrical counterpart would be here then. This word. So we would have, let's put some lines in. So this, and again, we don't have words of size 2, so we mark that with these grid lines as well. And then we put in arid. So that's one of the 4 words of size 4. Now, this is now going to be after arid, but before babysitter. So that's alphabetically, that's very restricting. Let's see. Bavarian wheels last bit of riches away from Mohammed bin Salman? Last bit of, I think we saw first bit of, or first, I'm not sure, but last bit of something, the last letter of riches is S. That is away, that is removed from, a word for Mohammed bin Salman? Meaning that he's just an example, that there might be other examples, and in this case there are millions. So then we would get an answer meaning Bavarian wheels. Now wheels can be obviously in the surface reading it's a verb, but wheels as a noun can mean a car. So we are looking for a car that's made in Bavaria, and that's going to be Audi. And how that works is Mohammed bin Salman was the king of Saudi Arabia, so he was a Saudi. And we take away the last bit of the word riches, this S. We take the S out, we get Audi. So Audi is the answer there. And where does Audi fit now? Now it doesn't fit this known 4-letter answer, so it's going to be something else. Can't share this O. It could share this I. This could be Audi. Can't share this I. Can't share this N or this C. Can't share this L. And this is already taken. Not already taken, but it does fit here. So this I is the only place where Audi goes. Which also means that we have a word here, Audi, and now we have to have a word, a 4-letter word in the symmetrical position. So it's on this row here. So we have to have a 4-letter word starting with N in the grid. Okay, now do we know which 4-letter word it is? We don't. We know it's one of these 4 because it can't be anything after Seeps in alphabetical order, but we don't know which one of these it is. So we should solve these then next. So babushka, we had babushka meaning scarf. So here it probably means something else. If you see the same word repeated in different clues, often it means different things. So babushka's in possession of bananas. Now in possession of something is a bit of a weird word because you can say it in both ways. So if I'm in possession of a banana, I have it. So I would be around, and then in cryptic terms, I would be the container, and the banana would be inside. And but also the banana is in my possession. So it could also be either part could be the inside part. So babushka could be in banana's possession, meaning the babushka would be inside, or it could mean like the natural reading would suggest that the babushka, the grandmother, has bananas. But here in possession of bananas, meaning the word bananas contains. So someone is in the possession of the word bananas. And if we look inside it, we see the word nana, which means grandmother, which babushka also means. So the word we're looking for is it's a hidden word clue, and it's the answer is nana. Also of note, if you see the word bananas in a cryptic clue, often it means it's an anagram indicator, because if you're bananas, you're crazy. So that's how you justify anagramming with the word bananas. But here it's not. Here it's a hidden word for nana. Now, nana does go here, but we should check whether it's the only place where it can go. So nana can't share this O, can't share this I, can't share this C, this L. So looks like the only place where nana can go is actually here. Okay, and maybe we should. No, I'll leave the highlighting there until we need it for something else. So Nana was here, so this is the next answer. It's going to be after Nana now in the alphabet. Bo beheaded again. Very short clue. Beheaded. Pretty straightforward indicator. The head letter of the word is the first letter. So if you behead a word, you take out the first letter. So we need a word for bow. We take out the last letter, and we get a word meaning again. Or we take a word meaning again, we take out the last letter, and we get a word meaning bow. Both readings would work, but here it's the former. Bow, a bow is a lover. Take out the first letter, we get over. And if you do something over, you do it again. So over is the answer here. And now we can look at where over goes. So over can go here, sharing this O, can't share this I, can't share this C, can't share this L, and there's nowhere else for it to go. So over must be there. And if over is there, we also know that symmetrically this word must be a 4-letter word as well. 4-letter word ending in L. So let's look at how many four-letter words do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 words left. So one's going to go here, one's going to go here, and we need 2 more. It looks like they're going to go here. 2 different ways they can go there, or it can be like this, and symmetrically here or here. Let's see. Where were we? Here. True king switched hands. Now hands are going to be the right and left hand, abbreviated R and L. So if you have both the word R and L in a word and you switch hands, you sort of exchange the L and the R. Now a king, King Lear, is going to be the king that we need here, L-E-A-R, which can be spelled in different ways, but L-E-A-R is the one we need. And we swap the L and the R, we get real, which means true. And real does go here, can't go there, can't go there, and can't go there. So real must be precisely here. And now let's do the rest of the acrosses so we can then focus on the down clues. So this one definitely starts with an S, because it goes between sheep and slain alphabetically. So this one is set off to attack king poorly. Now king again, when it's not going to be King Lear again, it's going to be something else. And king has 2 very common ways it can be abbreviated in cryptics. It's R for the Latin rex, and K from chess notation, K for king, the chess piece king. So if you set the dog off to attack, you sick the dog, S-I-C, and put the king, the K after it, you get sick, S-I-C-K, which means poorly. You're poorly, you're sick. And that is indeed between these 2 words alphabetically. And now we can look at where sick goes. It can't go there. It could go there. So sick would work here, or it would work here. So we don't know where it goes. So we have to mark it somehow. I'm going to put question marks here so we remember that this is not in the grid yet. And let's see this one then, number 13. A leader in Senate conducted vehicle running on surface. That might be a slippery slope. Now here it's a pretty unusual definition, but the wordplay is leader in Senate, which if you see a leader in cryptic crossword, is pretty much always the lead letter, the first letter in the word Senate. So leader in Senate, S, and indeed we need a word starting with S because it's between stars and slain. S, conducted. So if you conducted something, you led it. Conducted an investigation, led an investigation, for example. So S plus led gives us sled, and that is a vehicle running on a surface that might be a slippery slope, literally. So sled is the answer. And now we can look at where sled goes. Now this looks very promising, both of these crossing letters. Can it go anywhere else? Can't go here, can't go here with this I and this C. So sled must be here. And now we have one more. One more clue, and that's all of the acrosses. So let's see. Verdi disemboweled in front of lady I saw in Rome. Something is disemboweled. You take out the contents, you take out the insides of a word. So Verdi disemboweled would be VI. And of course, we need a word starting with something after you or something after you. So vi start would be good for us. So that is in front of lady. Now, very common crossword lady would be lady die, just because the letters di are so often needed. So vidi, which would be this word it is in bold plus lady. And I saw in Rome, the word for I saw in Latin would be vidi, as in veni, vidi, vici. So vidi is going to be our answer, and the wordplay part is here. Word it is in bold, vi plus lady, which is die, Lady Diana, and I saw in Rome is the definition. So there we are. And BD now only goes in one place. So it has to take this letter. This is the I and then DI here. Which means that we have a line here and also a line here. So this is then the word sick, which we haven't placed yet. Okay, so that is all across is placed, solved and also placed. And now it should be very straightforward to put in our down answers. But I'm going to remove the highlighting now so we can use it if we I just do yeah so that we can highlight down answers if we need. So but now we removed the ones that we had. So we had Garibaldi, which was here. Then we had violinist was the 11, wasn't it? Yes. And then the 9 must have been optically. Yeah, okay, so that's the gonna put these back in because so that we need so that we can use the alphabetical order. So obviously we have entire columns already filled. So let's see, are there any words we can recognize immediately? Fes, dira, diras, iras, or sabk. Doesn't look like it. Irs, sat, idve, dance. Doesn't look like it, but let's see. Start at the top. So this starts with something before G. What Adam lost behind Charlie's bed. Now Charlie is, and we've had this before. Charlie is the radio alphabet letter for C. So Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so forth. Charlie is the C. Behind Charlie. So Charlie is the C is the first letter, and after it we put a three-letter word meaning what Adam lost. Now this is going to be Adam from the Bible, and what he lost was a rib. Put C plus rib, we get crib, which is a bed. So bed is the definition part here. So crib is a down answer, and we can look at where it goes. So there's a B here. Do we have the right tool? So crib could fit here. Could also fit there. Two options. Are there other options? I don't think there are. No. Two options. So we are going to be using these three letters, but for a down answer, but we don't know whether it's like this and then this, or whether it's like this and then this. So I'm gonna mark these two options, but we annoyingly can't put crib in yet. So I'm gonna mark this with the question marks again. So this is now starts with C, D, E, F, or G. Milk product whose designation of origin is protected from terrible fate. Now this is a longer clue than it needs to be, because the wordplay is two words. It's terrible fate. we spell the word fate terribly. We put the letters in the wrong order, and we get an answer meaning milk product whose designation of origin is protected, and that is feta, which is an anagram of fate. So feta is the answer. I'm not sure if I should erase them immediately after I put in the answer, because maybe we can leave it in for a bit, but we can probably find out where feta goes. Now there's F, E, and A, so that should immediately look like it goes in there, but let's see if we can find another place where feta goes. Can't go here anywhere, not here, it's not here, 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 and it can't go on this column or this column. So feta in fact is there, and we have another answer symmetrically here. So feta goes there. We don't know what that is, but we can sort of guess, because it's going to be n something ed. Not many options there. We can mark some dividers here. And yeah, let's look at what we get. So I'm going to erase this now. Sorry if I've been erasing these too soon. I mean, once I see the answer, I've been just erasing this without realizing that someone may be still reading it. But I'll try to remember from now on. Says he when he has 6 clues left. But anyway, let's try to remember that. So we have some word going here, which looks like the word need. But let's look at number 4 now. Bug jeweler finally to cut diamond. Now, finally is an obvious indicator, which means the last letter of. So could be bug jeweler finally, GR, which would be after Garibaldi, if it starts the word. Or it could be just jeweler finally, the R, the last letter of jewelry, to cut. Now, if something cuts something, it goes inside it. So we could have 3-letter word for diamond, cut by this R. A diamond is a type of gem. So gem, we take gem and we put an R inside it, we get germ. And a germ is a bug. So germ, and germ is after Garibaldi in alphabetical order. So that's going to be correct. Now let's see where germ might go. Now here it might go there. Here it might go there. That's what I wanted to say. Germ could go here. Is there any other place? Can't go there, can't go there, there, or there. But actually, annoyingly, remember we had crib either here or here. Now if we have crib here, germ goes there. That works. But the other way it works as well. So if we have germ here, crib goes there and it still works. So annoyingly, we still can't fit in germ and crib, even though we know that they're counterparts to each other. We can't still can't put them in the grid. So germ goes with question marks as well. Actually, that deserves a 3rd question mark, because I'm not even sure how to notate this in the grid, that we have 2 options here. I'm going to remove this. Yeah, maybe we'll remember from this blue that is either of these 2, but not both. Okay, let's look at this 5. Now this starts after this G here. Bury a group of players in Italy. This is going to be a double definition. One definition is to bury, a verb meaning to bury someone. And the other definition is a group of players in Italy, namely a football team. And it's going to be the football team Inter. Inter from Milan, is a group of players in Italy. And if you inter someone, you bury them. Spelled the same way. I'll remove this one now. And inter is just a double definition. And there's only one place it can go. It can go there. But we should check whether that's true. So can't go anywhere here. Can't go here. And can't go on this side either. So it's inter here. That went into the grid. We can remove this. So now we're looking for an answer somewhere after I, either I or later in the alphabet. So Homo sapiens is above T-Rex, ultimately being without tail. So tail, the tail letter of a word can be the last letter. It's not in this case, but it can be. Ultimately, like finally that we had before, ultimate T-Rex ultimately is X, the last letter of the word T-Rex. Now, what is Homo sapiens then? That is above. This is a down clue, remember? These are down clues. So Homo sapiens, you can refer to the human race, the Homo sapiens, you can refer to them as man. Man discovered fire or something. Homo sapiens discovered fire. So man above X for T-Rex ultimately would give Manx, and that's a type of cat. It's also the Manx people from the Isle of Man, and there's a language called Manx as well. But here we need the cat, and that is a being without tail. So being is used as a noun there, a being without tail, because Manx cats don't have tails. So that's Manx. And now we can look at where that goes. So there's two places where Manx goes. It could go here, M-A-N-X, except if it does, we can't fit in grib. Not grib, crib, because it should go either here or here, and if it goes there, then the counterpart goes here. So Manx can't go there, but it can go here, and that's the only place where it can go. So M-A-N-X. So let's mark Manx like that, which means this other answer is definitely here. So we are not using these letters. We are using these symmetrically to this one, and then the answer symmetrical to this one is going to be here. And we can draw some lines now. So this U is not used by the down clues, and this is one down answer, this is one down answer. Same story here. And now we know this is germ and this is crib, and not the other way around. So finally, crib goes in, germ goes in. Question marks go out. And now we have an almost filled grid already. We have just a few letters remaining. 1, 2, 3. It's 4 letters, and we still have 4 answers to fill. Okay, and then afterwards we might need to add some more of these dividing lines so that we don't have nonsense words in the grid, like for example here. But let's see. So this was Manx, and now we're looking for a word starting with M or later. Shortage of MDMA in Flanders. Now shortage, one word for shortage is need, and we had this answer here that looks like the word need. Looks like it can only be the word need, in fact. Let's try. A doesn't work. E does work. I think it can only be need. So how does that work? Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, not the area in Belgium, Flanders, but Ned from The Simpsons. And MDMA is a drug, also known as ecstasy or E. So E inside Ned gives us need, which means shortage. And that goes in there. And we had that word's counterpart already, which is feta here. Now then, we have two more words left. So one is going to go here, and then this letter needs to be glued by something, and we already had inter, so this is going to be one word as well. So any something US, and I mean that also doesn't have very many options. In fact, it's this one, because it can't be number 10, because it has to be before something starting with an N is before O in alphabetical order. So it's this one. Rising star hugs former bond. Now, former bond sounds like you might need the names of people who have played James Bond, but especially with this capitalized B here, but it's actually former. Actually, that's just X, EX. You are a former player, you're an X player, for example. So a rising star, what's a rising star then? A star, the sun is a star. One star, one example of a star. So SUN, that is rising. This is a down clue, so we are rising, we are writing upwards. SUN, hugs, contains the word EX, X for former. And a nexus is a connection, it's a bond. So nexus is the answer there. And now, remove this. And now we can remove this, and we have one clue left, which is this one, and it's now between O and V in alphabetical order. Quick, sharp blow after second round. Now second can mean several things, but here it means S, like the second from as a unit of time. Its abbreviation is S. Around is a lap. You go around something. Around is a lap, and that is after the S. So this is the wordplay part. S plus lap is a slap, and a slap is a quick, sharp blow. And that should give us a finished grid, and it does. Now, that's not all, because we still haven't found our destination, and we must do that because we need to. But just for completeness' sake, actually, we should also finish marking the grid lines, because now we have this, I just mentioned these nonsense words. So, for example, this festirasp now looks like an entire word when it's clearly not. So let's go through all the acrosses. Unforgiving was a word. Seeps is a word. Arid. Stars is a word. Over. Audi. Build. Sick. And VD. And in fact, we don't even need the VD, because if we get here and we only see actual words, these are going to be symmetrical, so we don't need to go through them. And let's look at the down clues then. So slap, crib, both actual words. Nexus, feather. And now this festi thing is not a word. It doesn't contain any answer here, so we can just mark all of these, separate all of these. So these are all unchecked letters. And if the third column contains all unchecked letters, that means the third last column does the same thing. Then we have optically, and then we have this nonsense here, sub something. There's no answer here that we use, so these are all unchecked as well. And that's the fifth column, so the fifth last is all unchecked as well. And then Garibaldi was an answer. So this should be our final grid with the actual what are these edges? These are actual lines in place. So now we do the highlighting that was mentioned in the preamble. So let's go back to that. Now we don't need these again. Guess I could just put the clues back in, because we're going to have to look at the clues again. Let's just go back to where the preamble was. So whenever one or more letters from the start of the clue form a substring of the answer, those letters must be highlighted in the grid. For example, if the clue starts on and so forth. So here we have on Tuesday, and these O and T appear in the word, so we must highlight them in the grid. And here this W appears somewhere in the answer, and we must highlight that. And if multiple exist, we must highlight the longest one. So we need the clues again. Maybe I made a mistake by erasing those. Maybe we should have just kept them in, but I think we can work with this. So here we are. And now back to the grid, the finished grid, which is this one. So let's see. Here we have assistant gets real dull, and the answer was arid, and it's here. So we have this A in the word arid, and it's in this position here. But we don't have AS because the next letter is O. So just the A is highlighted there. Then this, the answer to this one was Audi. But Audi doesn't contain a B here, so we don't highlight anything there. Players of baseball gather around, and so this one was the babysitters one, and babysitters doesn't contain a P, so none of these substrings are going to work. Number 4, leaving out final part of payment, so this one was build, and build does contain an L, and it does contain an LE as well. So build is here, so this LE is here, but it doesn't have an LEA, so 2 is the most that we can highlight. But this is important that we take the longest one, because we could also take this, and that's a one substring from the start of the clue, but it's not the longest one, so that's why we take L and E. So that's there. Then we have counter tie round. So this was SX. SX doesn't have a C, so that's out. Babushka maybe. So this was fracas. Fracas doesn't have a B, so we highlight nothing. Babushka again. So this was Nana, and Nana doesn't have a B, so we don't highlight anything. Bow beheaded again. This was over, and over doesn't have a B. True king switched hands. So this was real, and real doesn't have a T, so still not highlighting anything. Gradually passes through. So this was seeps. Seeps doesn't have a G. Set off to attack. So this was sick, and sick contains an S but doesn't contain SE. So just the S is highlighted there, and sick was where in our grid? Here it is. So this S here from sick is highlighted. Then done in several. So this was slain. Slain doesn't have a D. Then we have sled. Sled does have an L and does have an LE, but not LEA. So this is the longest that we have, LE. And sled is where in the grid? It's a cross clue. It's there, LE from sled. Then Castor and Pollux. So that was stars. Stars doesn't have a C. Okay. Vincent. So this was unforgiving. This is the first, the top clue there, and it contains a V, and it contains V, I, and N, but not this C. So all of these 3 letters need to be highlighted there. And Verdi. So the answer is VD here, and that contains a V but not a VE. So just V is highlighted there. That's the VD one. But that's not all, because we have down clues as well. So let's see. What Adam lost behind Charlie's bit? That was crib. Crib doesn't have a W. Milk product. This was feta. Feta doesn't have an M. a leading Italian, and you might think, why isn't this just a leading Italian? Now we come to the reason why it isn't, because Garibaldi has an A and it has an AL as well. So this A was needed there. You might see people objecting to a definition starting with something, because you can remove it and the clue reads just the same. But here it was needed for this highlighting purpose. So AL from Garibaldi must be highlighted, but not ALE, because this is not an E. So bug, this was germ, that doesn't have a B. This was inter, it doesn't have a B either way. Manx doesn't have a H. Need doesn't have an S. Now this one does. This was star. No, this was nexus. Star is, I was just reading this one. So stars was one of the answers, but it's not this one. So nexus doesn't have an R. Now optically, this was optically, and it contains a Y, which is the last letter, but not YA. So Y is the only thing that we can use. Slap doesn't contain a Q, and violinist doesn't contain an M. So this should be all the highlighting we need to find the answer. And if we read the highlighted letters, then we get a VINA, LES, VAL, LEY. So Vinales Valley is what is being spelled out here. And that is Gladys's destination. And we can look up what and where that is. Wow, almost lost it because, oh, I don't have it open. Let's see. I usually have these open in advance, but somehow didn't this time. Vinales Valley is here. So that is a valley in Cuba and sort of agricultural area. And there's a picture of that. So Gladys is in Cuba this time around. So Vinales Valley, also known as in Spanish Valle de Vinales. So let's look at what does that mean for our map then. So we were in Arlington, Texas last time. Now we're going some way back here. So doing this sort of zigzagging motion, and we are in this place in Cuba this time. And this is our complete trip so far, all the way here, and we are now in Cuba. So that was our cryptic crossword this time. Now the next puzzle is going to be another crossword. I think it's another cryptic, and it's titled, this one was Tropical Rhythms. I think it's Tropical Rhythms Slight Return. We can just check it from the, yeah, Tropical Rhythms Slight Return. So something similar coming up next. So this one was number 29, and I will see you for episode 30 next. So thanks for watching.